God bless you. And I really do feel like I'm home. Thank you, everyone. That praise and worship was awesome. Normally I would be in church, um, but I felt like I was there. So I already felt very much at home. Thank you so much. And yes, the woman of God wants me to share the story. So she had, Bishop Watson had connected us, and we spoke on the phone, and she was letting me know about tonight and wanting to get someone to speak. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, it's Friday. I have service. I can't be there. I don't miss service. So, but as I was speaking with her, there was such a conviction in my spirit. I heard in my spirit, don't say no. And as I heard it, I still said no. And because I was like, but I don't miss service. And I came off the phone with her, and this strong, overwhelming presence, conviction came on me. And I ended up calling her back because I was like, God, what is this? What is this? I don't understand why I'm feeling like this. There's such a conviction. And I called her back and said, woman of God, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I am led to honor that invitation. And so I am here, and even listening to the praise and worship. If I say nothing more, I'm good. It was amazing. And I thank you guys for welcoming me. I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you guys about one of the things that God has led me to do. And so I'm going to start the presentation. If I could share without being a host. Woman of God? Yes. Okay. So I am going to share my screen. And one of the things I want us to have it's not a lecture. I don't want you to see it as a lecture. I would like us to. So we're a family coming together and talking about some things. I think I'm losing, something's happening with, but you can hear me, right? So we're going to talk about finance, and I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about myself, and we're going to go through the slides that I've prepared. And there's a lot of information. Something's happening with the feed, but it's okay. Once you can hear me, we're fine. There is quite a bit of information, and it's information that is needed. And so as I go through it, I think I'll speak, and if you have any questions, write it down, and we can address it at the end as best as we can. So your path of financial independence and what you need to know. That's what I've entitled it. And so I'm going to, just a little bit about me. I am a licensed financial advisor with the Financial Services Regulatory Authority of Ontario. I'm licensed with Ontario. I also have some background in education, almost 20 years, working with the York District School Board for 13 years, and then more recently with the York Catholic School Board for 6 years. So I've also been in that side, working primarily with youth and behavior. I've also did some seminary, attended Tyndale and little studies, and I have a social work background as well. So God has allowed me to do a lot of things. But as we know that our gifts is for the edification of the body of Christ. So this is where we are today. And I've been privileged to be able to share some of the information that I know. So, our finances is a journey. If you are in a good place financially, God bless you. It is a privilege. It is very important that you're there, and I congratulate you. But many of us started or are not currently in a good financial situation, especially coming out of a pandemic or now in a recession. So many of our journey with finance has been up and down, up and down. So one of the things as a believer, as an ambassador of this kingdom, that often I have to be reminded about, and I love just scripture in Jeremiah, because it's the reminder to me of what God has declared over my life and what he's doing. So I often refer to this when I'm going through and when I need to be encouraged. So, I included in the presentation Jeremiah 20, because I'm a believer. I can't separate my profession from who I am, a child of God. And so, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And so when we are going through difficulties in our finances, we have to remember that this is the declaration that God made over our lives, that we are to prosper. We are to have a great future and hope. And it's funny, I was looking at a Bridge of Hope and Life Ministry. So this is perfect. It is perfect because your ministry is about giving people that hope. So I want us to talk. And I'm kind of cheeky about it, but, let's talk. Let's just sit down. I want us to feel like family. I want us to relax, because when it comes to finances, a lot of people are very guarded. A lot of people feel they need to be private about their finances. But finding out the information, knowledge is power. And what's even more powerful is the ability to apply the knowledge that you have obtained wherever you've received it. So I want us to, as believers, remove that veil, because we have something blocking us when it comes to finances and ministry and in the church. And, in our Christian community, a lot of us fall behind. We are not where many of the secular world is when it comes to finances, our knowledge, or our ability to apply the knowledge to increase our income. And so the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6 reminds us that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And in this text, in this scripture, God is really talking about the relationship with him and knowing his word. But I want to remind you that the biblical principles of wealth building is also in the Bible. So that is knowledge he's also speaking of. So knowing your finances, just like scriptures, healing scriptures, all those things is applicable. And so many of us don't make enough money. And when we don't make enough money, we don't know how to, even if we do make money, we don't know how to multiply it. We don't know how to invest it. We don't know how to save. And the end goal is to build generational wealth. What we make, we need to be able to pass it on to our children, our grandchildren. So when they come up, they can just add to what we've already started. Too much of our community is starting from scratch. Every generation is starting from scratch. There's no wealth being left for the next generation to build on. And we need to break that in the name of Jesus. We need to break those patterns. And so once you earn your money, you need to protect it, right? You need to protect it for your family, for your children, so there can be accumulation, multiplication. And Christians, we are so wealthy spiritually. We are so wealthy spiritually, but when it comes to finances, many of us lack. We are lacking. We can blow tongues. Many of us are gifted for healing, for prophesying, for teaching. But when it comes to finances, we are falling short. And that's not God's will for us. So we need to learn, earn, and build. So what are some of the hindrances? What are some of the barriers? Pride. And sometimes it's fear. We're fearful that people will say, oh, she doesn't know, or he doesn't know, we're not smart. And sometimes we don't even know where to go to get direction, to get help, because, we're lacking the knowledge and we don't know where to start. So we don't do anything. And those are things that we need to break. So some of the statistics in America and in Canada speaks to how much knowledge we know. 91% of Canadians and Americans, the stats are very similar, has minimal knowledge of finance, of education of finance. We use money, we spend money, but we don't understand how money works. And, I'm very fortunate that God has presented me with this platform where I can learn and then be able to share it with others. Right? When I first came into, like I said, I was in education, I was in social work, I've done other things. And when I came into, and I believe this is something that a platform that God has brought me to, when I came into this industry, the financial sector, I had to consolidate. I had to go to a counselor for finances, because I couldn't have obtained my license without cleaning up my credit, without cleaning up my finances. So that's one of the things that I had to learn when I came in and fix my credit. So there's help out there. And a lot of us are fearful or feel embarrassed to seek out someone to help us with that. Don't be. Everyone needs help at some point or another. And as believers, we need to break these barriers. We often talk about warfare, spiritual warfare. Financial lack is also a battle. It's a generational battle that we go through. Many families, there how you see generational poverty, and it's stemming from slavery, it's stemming from colonization. There's so many layers to it, but we still need to break it. It doesn't matter where it's coming from, it needs to stop, because our children need to receive something so they can build. Every generation shouldn't be starting from scratch. And so we have to take it as seriously as spiritual warfare, our not having and not being able to pass on to our next generation. There's no joy in poverty. There's no joy in having debt, not at all. We are kingdom citizens. We are joint heirs to the kingdom of God. So why are we in lack? So my mission, the thing that I desire to do, is to educate families and build a financially secured future, because we need to be independent financially. We need to be, our gifts are supposed to make room for us. And we're in the kingdom of God and we're in lack. So if we as believers are in lack, how then can we support the kingdom? How then can we build the kingdom? If you're not making an income, you can't give offering. If you're not making an income, you can't tithe. So then you're not bearing fruit. And as a believer, we must bear fruit. So one of the things that I want to do as well is to help build the body of Christ. Our resources, we're very gifted. Everyone on this platform has gifts. Is your gift bearing fruit for you? Is your gift bearing fruit for you? Because it needs to be. And so one of the other mission I have is to influence and impact and leave a legacy, not only for my family, but anyone that I come in contact with. So that is my mission. So one of the other things that I do, the things that motivate me other than my family, is mission work. I'm a missional pastor, and there are such great needs. I've done things with a team in Canada. So there's so much impoverished people out there needing food, clothes. We go out and we do that work. In Ghana, I've done work with an organization in Ghana, Better Life for Humanity, and reaching out to that community. I've recently started to do something more on a personal level in Jamaica, and anywhere else God will send me, I will go. And I believe that to be the same with many people. We do it in different degrees, but we are servants, and that's what we need to do. So here we have, people, we don't plan to fail. As people, as believers, we don't plan to fail, but we fail to plan. So if we don't have a plan, we have nothing to execute, and we cannot grow our wealth. We need to have a plan, write it down and make it clear. The word tells us. So the image here is a person trying to balance money and time. And many of us give away our time for money, and it's not equal to our value. So our employers will give us X amount of dollars an hour and take our time. We don't have time with our family. So the goal is, as we become more knowledgeable financially, is to balance it. So when we speak about being financially independent, that means you have time and money. So you're balancing it. And that's the goal. That is the ideal goal to get to. So I don't know if you are aware of this, but we are in a crisis. We were in a crisis before the pandemic. We're in a crisis now, and we're in a recession. So savings is a crisis. Retirement is a crisis. Like I spoke before a few slides ago, 91% of Canadians and Americans, but the stats are very close, do not know how money works. We handle money.
Jamaicans.
Sorry, and Jamaicans. People in general. We don't know how money works. I was just giving stats faster, so that's why. So we don't know how we use money every single day. We buy groceries, we pay our mortgage, we pay our rent, pay our car notes, whatever the case may be. But money goes through our hands daily, either through our card, a debit card, or cash, but we're constantly spending, but we don't understand how it works and how to build. 35% of Canadians have no savings or investments. That's a lot. 30% of Canadians, let's just not say Canadians, 30% of people don't have savings and investments put aside. We don't even have, if we were to have an issue and need to find $500, for example, the example that's here, we wouldn't be able to find it. It's unexpected expenses. We didn't plan for it. And many people wouldn't even have that sitting down to go pay for it if a car broke down or something. That would be a strain on their budget and on their finances. And so that's the savings crisis that we're in. We're not making enough to save. And when we do have enough, we spend it loosely. Retirement, many people over 50 are having to go back to work. There's not a lot of opportunities out there, and they're having to go back to work or get a secondary job rather. And many people are postponing their retirement past the age of 65. People are working in their 70s. I work with the York Region Catholic School Board, and there are some teachers there that have retired and come back. They have retired and have to come back as supply teachers to supplement their income. So there's not a lot of money being made. And so some of the I'll just skip that. That's okay. I covered that. So as well, the same thing is happening with employment. There's no jobs out there. There's limited amount of jobs, and a lot of the jobs are being cut. A lot of the jobs are being sent overseas because it's more cost effective to hire people overseas, to pay them as less. They don't have the same laws around employment as we do in the Western part of the world. And a lot of us are losing jobs to technology. When you go to Walmart, there's self-checkout. When you go to Shoppers Drug Mart, there's self-checkout. There's no bodies there anymore. You're going through the machine and you're checking yourself out. So that is a clear example that our technology is replacing jobs and people. And so one of the other issues we're having is around education. There is a crisis. Canada is we have one of the highest population of postgraduates, and many of them are not working in their field of study. So you have a lot of people graduating from college and university and not getting an employment that they can take care of themselves. Student loan is another issue that they're burdened by. So a lot of young people have to take out student loan, and then they come out of university or college with debt, and then they're not getting the right paying jobs. And so that is another issue as well. The average Canadian student loan debt is $26,000. So you imagine you're coming out of a 3 and 4 year degree program and have debt, $26,000 on average. If you decide to do masters and anything more than that, it's a higher debt. So, and a lot of the students, over 70% of students regret having to take out student loan because they're in debt now and they don't have the jobs to be able to pay it back. So some of the certainties around pensions and retirement, because we're talking here about savings, we're talking about investing. I'm just slowly showing you what's out there and why we have to be smart about how we utilize our money, how we spend our money, and save and invest is very essential, because what we're depending on is not enough. So 22% of private sector workers does not have employer funded pension plans. So that means you have to find it for yourself. And if you're in Canada, the CPP, which is Canada Pension Plan benefit, the average they give you when you retire is $700, starting $700 to $1,300 as of 2023. That's your allotment. So you're 65, you are your only source of income because now you're retired and you're older, so you're not able to work as much. So that's what you're looking forward to. You can't pay rent and live and eat on that money. So we have to be smart when we're young and invest and put money aside, because what you would get is not enough. CPP, they take it out of, for those of you who know, I think Americans have similar taxes, but it's called something else. But here in Canada, they take that automatically out of your paycheck. You don't get a choice. They take it out before you get the money. So, and when to give it back to you, in order to get it, you have to be working in Canada for 40 years to get to benefit from CPP, to be eligible to receive it. But they take it out of your pay without asking you anything. And it's taxable. It's taxable. So when they start giving you back that money, they tax it. So we have to be wise. Old age security, the same thing. It's payable after 65. Your monthly payment, if you are reaching that age, is $687. And you have to be living in Canada for about 20 years before you're eligible to receive old age pension. And they tax that as well. So how do I serve as an advisor? How do I serve my clients as an advisor? I love the education, because I didn't have it. I was educated in one sector, but when I came into finance, it blew my mind. So I'm big on sharing the information and how My finance company, I distribute, and the companies that I distribute to, clients to, are the ones that pay me. So I distribute insurance products like whole life insurance, university term, critical illness, disability, those group benefits, small group benefits, all those kind of things, as well as TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account, and the RSPs, things like that, where you can save your money and have tax shelter. And a lot of the things I refer to for travel insurance, I'm contracted with over 75 companies that I refer my clients to for, like, if you want to travel insurance, I'll refer you. Mortgage financing, I would refer you. Home and auto insurance, I refer you. It's part of that group of contract companies that we have. And we were talking about debt. Four Pillars is a debt consolidation company that we work with, and they were amazing. That's a company when I first came in, and before I got my license, I went through them, and they were amazing. I only have good things to say. They were very helpful. They were very respectful, and they guided me through. What I thought was a huge debt wasn't a huge debt in comparison to what's out there. So they guide you through it and help you. And so this is what they do. They have counseling for Four Pillars, and they will ask you to bring your paperwork together and sit down and give you options. This is what you could do, and try to consolidate it, contact your creditors if that's the route that you want to go in, and then they can guide you through it that way. So don't be afraid. A lot of people feel the weight of debt, and I experienced it. With student loan, all kinds of things. And I'm like, I'm never going to finish paying for this thing. I'm paying interest and it's not touching the principal. So it's like, I just felt defeated. I felt honestly defeated, but I was faced with, I have to clear this stuff up in order to get my license. And these guys are so helpful. And so, see, these are some companies that you're familiar with. That is 75. I have contracts with all these companies as a licensed advisors. And so these are a lot of the main ones I use to do referral because they're more affordable. Investments and insurance companies is what I use. So these are just some of the 75 that many of you do. And I know Franklin and Templeton, American company, McKenzie Investment. So we also have agents in America too that work there that are connected to Canada. And I have a partner that has a license in Canada and America. So we can service both countries. So we're going to talk a little bit about insurance because we're talking about money, how we save, and how we generate generational wealth. And a lot of people don't understand that insurance is actually an asset. A lot of people look at insurance as a debt, or something that it's a weight on them, and it's not. So we encourage, when people see, when I present on child insurance protection, they're like, but kids are young, they're healthy, why would they need life insurance? Because the stats tell us 1 in 5 kids get cancer, get sick with some terminal illnesses. And so the risks are high, and to protect your child. And what it does, the insurance does, is it's a just in case. So if you are, God forbid, something happens to your child, you would be given, like through critical illness, you'd be given a lump sum where you can be with your child in the hospital. You don't have to worry about going to work. Oh, I have to make a decision. Do I go to the hospital to sit with my ailing child or husband or wife or whatever the case may be? And I can't have to make the choice of feeding my family or providing for them or being with your loved one. You don't have to make that choice because you have gotten insurance, and then you can go and be with them and still pay for your overhead. So people ask, why would you do that? Because a child is average is healthy, and they're young, and it's inexpensive. You would less than $20 for a child coverage because they're young and they're healthy. So that is why. And then, you have the critical illness we spoke about, paying you a lump sum, and it covers that. So they have saving components. That's what people don't understand. Life insurance, the rich don't need life insurance, but they buy life insurance and they pass it on to their generations, and they build wealth through life insurance policies. We need to understand that because many people don't understand that that's how it happens. And some of the ailments I talked about that cover cancer and blindness and deafness, some of the critical illness insurance covers the benefits that they cover for adults and children. And so the registered education savings plan, that is also something you save towards your child's education. And you do that saving tax-free. There's a shelter. And the government also offers you grants as you are saving the RESP. They give you a contribution to help build it because they want to encourage you to have money for your child so they don't have to take OSAP. So there's an incentive for them. And so there's 3 types of RESP. Again, we're talking about savings. These are all saving vehicles for your family. So 3 types of RESPs. You have the individual one, you have the family plan, when you have multiple kids, and then you have the group scholarship RESPs. So let's talk about savings, more specifically about investments and savings and taxes. So you need a foundation. How do you obtain a financial foundation? You have to have an income. So you have to find a way to earn through employment or investment, but you have to find a way to earn because you can't invest what you don't have. And then once you earn, then you can save, right? And then we need to get into the habit of just how we love to spend. We have to get into the habit of saving. And there's a thing I always talk to my clients about, the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your income should be for your managing your house, food, any expenses like that. And then 10% is your tithe. And the other 10% is you paying yourself, your savings out of your income. And you need to, it's important that we do that mandatory, just like how the government would take their taxes before you get your money, you have to pay yourself. And that's how you end up building your savings, and then you can invest. So the 80-20 rule, I highly recommend it. And then when you start saving, you can invest, and then the money will grow, right? And then you have to find a way to protect it, which is, you're investing in, I have a license for segregated funds. So you'd be investing in segregated funds, and there's a lower risk of segregated funds in comparison to mutual funds. Segregated funds is more guaranteed. You can guarantee 75% of your principal. And so you are investing, but at minimal risk. And when you start, if you're talking to me about investment, I would have to do an assessment of your risk. How much risk can you take comfortably, right? And based on that, we invest in moderate or low segregated funds, or higher, depends on what you're able to do. So this is Mr. Einstein, Albert Einstein, the genius of his time and still today. And I want to talk to us about the rule of 72. So Albert Einstein is credited for this formula. So the rule of 72 is also known as compound interest. And I think it's so important. When I learned this several years ago, I felt like I was going to bang my head in the wall. I said, how do we not teach this in school? How can I go through high school, post-secondary, and never learn about compound interest? So basically what this is, if you put $100 in the bank, and the formula says 72 divided by whatever the percentage is that the institution you're putting your money in gives you. Most banks give you 1% at best. You might find 1 or 2 if they're generous. But on average, you get 1% rate of return when they say, put your money in the bank, put your money in the savings, and we'll give you 1%. So if you use the formula of compound interest, 72 divided by that 1%, and you put $100 in your account, so 72 divided by 1 is what? 72. So that will take you 72 years to double that $100 based on that 1% of return. And what the bank does, often if you have a lump sum of money you put in the bank, we're not talking about maybe tens of thousands of dollars, you have to book an appointment to retrieve your money. You have to let them know in advance. Why do you think that is? Because the bank takes your money, give you 1%, and the same places like segregated funds where I would invest my dollars, and segregated funds, you have an average of 6%, 9%, 12%, some even as high as 20% rate of return on your money. And the bank takes that profit and gives you only 1%. The same places. So what you do when you invest in a segregated fund, you will get a higher interest rate and your money will grow. When you look at the chart here, a 29-year-old person invests $10,000 at 1%. In that, it will take that person 100 till they're 101 to double that $10,000 to $20,000 because they're only getting 1% rate of return on it. When you look down at the chart, the same 29-year-old look at 6%, it takes them 12 years to double their money because the interest rate is higher, the percentage is higher. So we need to be very calculated about where we put our dollars because the bank is the one making the money and they're giving you what they want to give you. So when you now take your money and invest in segregated funds or even mutual funds, same places the bank put their money, you're getting the total interest. You're not getting what somebody decides they want to give to you. And that's how compound interest works. And so we need to now, when we're going to put our money somewhere, think about it. When you go to the bank and they're saying, oh, come and save here, ask them how much? How much is my rate of return? 1%? Less than 1%? No, your money will take years to grow. It will past your lifetime. And so we need to be, and this is where the education comes in. This is where the knowledge comes in. And so facts about taxes, it's not my thing. So nothing is certain in this world except death and taxes. And it's not even a funny thing. It's just factual. So you make money, the government taxes you. You spend money, the government taxes you. You save money, the government taxes you. You die, the government taxes you. Estate taxes. They tax you every which way. Even when you're in your death, they're taxing you. So how do we avoid that? What are the strategies to help us save money and grow with a tax shelter? So that's why you have these RESPs. You still get taxed. You get taxed later. So with a RRSP, you can grow your money without any taxes going on it. So you're accumulating your wealth. And when you decide to pull it out is when they tax you. So you still get to grow quite a bit of money. It's still beneficial to you. It's better than them taxing you as it's growing because there's repetitive taxing. So the Registered Education Savings Plan, the RESP, they also tax you later. So while the money is accumulating, while it's growing, while you're saving, no taxes are applied when you pull it out because the incentive is to make you keep the money there. The government is not going to give you tax shelter without getting something. We need to understand that government doesn't do anything for free. And so the tax-free savings account, you don't get taxed for that. And you can do your tax-free savings account with a bank, or you can do it with the investment, like a segregated fund. The only difference is with the segregated funds, you are getting a higher rate of return. With the banks, you're getting about 1%. So your money will grow faster with the TFSA outside of a bank. So you have the primary residency, no tax. So your home that you live in, that's a way to strategies for savings. So your home that you live in with your family that you purchased, they don't tax you on that. If you buy an investment property or a secondary property, they will tax you on that. So
I'm sorry, may I just interrupt real quick, Diane? I'm so sorry. You touched something so very important, and I don't know if you want it, I don't know if it's interactive or should I wait to the end? I'm not sure.
I don't mind. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. You touched about the tax-free savings account. Can you just expand on that a little bit more? Because I was reading into that and I've been doing my homework as well. And I believe that the government allows you a certain amount each year. And then outside of that, there's also, so if I invest now and I take out and I put back, I need to be reminded that even though I remove funds, I'm still, that the amount that I removed is still a part of that was allotted to me, something like that.
Yes. So I have a slide
on that, please. Thank you.
Sure. I have a slide. Let me touch on it a little bit here. So the TFSA. So you have it section in 2009. So that's when it was formed. And so you have an annual allotment. This year it's 6,500 that you can contribute. And plus anything you just spoke about that you withdrew from previous years, you have that. So you have, if you have a a TSSA and you haven't contributed to it, it keeps growing. You still have the allotted amount that you could put in there. And so, for example, here you see on the first line, 88,000. So that is what a person who has never contributed to it from 2009, and there is a accumulation. So that's how much, if you had put it in from 2009, say 6,000 every year, it would have been a total of 88,000. So that's the maximum you can put in this year, assuming that you've never contributed it before. Make sense? And so you have an allotment, you can put 6,500 in for this year. And so you have that, and it shows it on your tax forms, your allotted contributions and what you put in. So it shows you on your tax forms how much money you can actually put in this year, or how much room you have to put in based on what you've done in the past. So I hope I answer your question. And so since we're at the slide, so the RSP as well, you have a maximum contribution here of 29,000 as of 2022. And with this, it's tax sheltered growth. We spoke about it the previous slide. So you can put money in and it's growing and there's no tax being added to it while it's growing. But when you're ready to take it out, you will be taxed. And so, but you can write this off, the RESP. That's why at March 1st, I believe is the deadline coming up. They all say, oh, it's March is coming up, make your contribution, because it helps with your total income. So if you're making $500,000 and you don't want to pay taxes on $500,000, when you have RESPs contribution, it will reduce your income on paper. You still have the money, but you don't have to pay the taxes for the 500, you pay less based on minus what you contributed into the RRSP. I hope I answered your question, Marie. Okay, and so as you can see here, I was talking about it earlier with regards to the taxes and what are tax write-offs and what are tax shelters. So this information is really good to know, because then you know you are now making educated decisions around where you put your money, because you want your money to grow. We need to educate ourselves where we're putting our money, and put your money somewhere. Don't let your money sit in a bank, a savings account or a checking account, because you will earn nothing from that. The bank will earn from that, because what the bank does is, we all have a bank account. Say we have a bank account with Royal Bank. We all put, I'm not talking about hundreds of dollars, I'm talking about thousands of dollars, and it's in the account. They take it, all the money, pool it, and invest it with the segregated funds and make profit from it. When at the end of the year, you're hearing banks have profits of millions of dollars. This is how. So we need to now make our money work for us, not for the banks. So let me continue. So that basically covers the investments and savings. So I want us to talk about estate planning, because many people, either you know what it means or you don't know what it means, or you think, oh my gosh, estate planning, what are you talking about? I don't have an estate, I'm not rich, I don't have a mansion, I don't have this, I don't have that. It doesn't have anything to do with anything that you own is considered part of your estate. Your laptop is part of your estate. Your car is part of your estate. Your furniture is part of your estate. That could be included in your will. Anything that you value, put a value on. If it's expensive or not, but you put value on it, is part of your estate. And so when I encourage people to do their will and to put those things in place, and I'm going to explain why. So estate planning is the process of laying out your instructions, how your assets should be distributed to your families or your loved ones or whomever, your church. Some people donate to their church or their faith community. They choose when to give their wealth to those places. So basically what an estate is your asset. Like I was saying, your home, your bank account, your investments, those are part of your estate. And I want to bring your attention to a bank account. Many of us don't have joint bank accounts. Many of us have single bank. I would want you to start thinking about, when you have a bank account, God forbid, if you pass away and you have a significant amount of money in your bank account and you have no second signer, the bank takes your money. There's over $1 billion of unclaimed money for people who may have passed away and their family don't have access to their bank accounts. $1 billion in a Canada bank right now of unclaimed money because of situations like that. So they don't have to have access to your bank account, but they could have signing rights. Once your name is in there for any emergency signing right, then if they pass away, if anyone passes away, the person who has signing right have access to that. I've experienced it with my grandmother. Thank God my aunt had that when she passed away. So we need to think about things. Often we don't think about those things. So if we die without a plan, without an estate, without a will, the government implements one on your behalf. They automatically implement one on your behalf. And if you die without a will, you are deemed to have died intestate. Testate basically means you don't have a will. And what the government does is they come in and they seize everything. They put a freeze on everything. Your family have no access to your funds unless their names are on it. And that could take up to a year for them to process that, because now that's a court proceedings. And so mutual funds, stocks, GICs, Canada Savings Bond, property, bank accounts, creditors have access to it. When you pass away and they're trying to figure out where your funds are distributed, your properties are distributed, that process is called probate. Creditors have access to that. They can come and grab that money before your family. Taxes, government taxes, provincial taxes have access. They come and they can grab and take their piece. You owe me X amount of dollars. This person is deceased. God rest her soul, his soul. You owe me money. I'm taking it. They have that power. When you have a segregated fund, there is a beneficiary, a mandatory beneficiary attached to that. This is a life segregated fund life insurance, and you will get your payout within 7 to 10 days of a passing of a loved one. And the government nor any creditors have no access. This insurance and segregated funds are protected. They are protected by law against creditors. Your family gets that money. Nobody has access to that. Outside of that, it's open field. It's open game. Anything can happen. And when you pass and you have property over 50,000, you're taxed 1.5% in Ontario. So your estate is taxed. If you have $500,000 value, once it's over $50,000, they will tax you. Mind you, you passed away. Your family is mourning your death. And then they have to be dealing with calls from creditors, call from this and that and that. And they're trying to find money to put you to rest. So these are the things that a lot of people go into. We have celebrities recently. Prince, the artist, died without a will. One of I think it was a Backstreet Boy, one of the brothers of the Backstreet Boy, died without a will. Very well, these are rich people. You'd think they'd have more common sense. Passed away, no will. So right now, everything is in probate and government is dealing with, and so their family cannot have anything that they own until that process is done that could last up to a year. So we need to knowledge. So will and testament. So I want us to watch this brief. It's maybe a minute.
Heard that a will is important, but aren't exactly sure why or how to go about making one. First and foremost, a will puts you in control. You choose who you want to receive your property and what they're entitled to. If you don't have a will, when you pass away, the laws of your state or province will determine what will happen to your property, and it may not be what you would have wanted. You'll also create uncertainty for your loved ones, which could lead to disagreements and make a difficult time for them more stressful. If you do want to put your wishes in writing, then a will can allow you to give away property, whether it's your car, a family heirloom, or your life savings. You decide which of your loved ones or close friends receive them. You will also name someone called an executor or personal representative who will take on the task of distributing your property according to your wishes. In your will, you can also name someone you love and trust as a guardian for your children. You can even name a trusted caretaker for your pets. If you have a favorite charity, a will is a great way to give back and make sure your assets go to a good cause. When you're ready to start, that's where we come in. Our service is convenient, quick, and easy to use. You can simply create an account, pick the will you need, and answer some questions. Our system will instantly prepare a personalized document that's tailored to the laws of your state or province. Once complete, simply print off your document and follow the signing instructions to make it legally binding. So don't put it off any longer. Use our service to get your wishes in writing and take care of what matters most. You may.
Okay, so one of our companies that I'm contracted with is Everest, and they do a lot our wills. I have my will with them. And just like how the video explained it, that's really how it works. But they have a concierge service is what they call it. So, and it's really an asset to those. If you have insurance through Everest and Ivari, which is the life insurance company, have merged. They two different companies, but they work together. If you have a life insurance with Ivari, Everest automatically you get the concierge service. So what happens with the concierge service? Think of it as like the hotel. You hear concierge service, right? It's the same thing, but this is for funerals. So with them, God forbid, a loved one passes away, all you have to do is contact them and they start the ball rolling in terms of the preparation for the funeral and the services. And you pay, but they do the work for you. You're grieving. You don't want to be calling a funeral home. You don't have to be thinking about caskets and all of those things. It sounds horrible to talk about these things now, but we're alive. Death happens. And we need to prepare for it. A lot of our people are on GoFundMe trying to get money to bury their dead. And that is so not of God. So we need to be planned better. We need to prepare. We need to talk about these things with our loved ones. Let our family members know our wishes and what we have in place. And these things are not expensive, but we seem to fail to follow through with these things. So one of the advantages of this that I think will apply, what many people like, is the fact that if someone passes away, say in Jamaica, they will help you organize bringing the body back to Canada if that's the wish. If someone passes away in another part of the world, they will organize wherever the person is to travel to bring the remains back to where you want it to go. Canada, America, Jamaica, wherever, Ghana, Africa, wherever you want that person to have their final resting place. They are the people that do all the legwork behind you. And mind you, a lot of funeral homes, when you are grieving, take advantage of that grief and give you share a lot of expensive items that you don't necessarily need to purchase, but because you're grieving and you want to give your loved one the best, you get ripped off. And so this is something that they do, and I highly recommend that. So that is one of the services. Something I'm wrapping up now. So something I wanted to share as we're talking about Ivari. My grandmother passed away in 2014 of cancer, and I'm the eldest grandchild. And she felt that I was the one to take care of everything that she needed to do while she was in the hospital in palliative care. Before she was non-responsive, she was giving orders. That's just her personality. And she wanted the information she was giving. Oh, I want you to go to this cemetery. I want to be by my sister who's buried over here. I want this, I want that, I want that, before she passed. And this was something she gave me to do, and I did not want to do it, but it's grandma, and grandma's not taking no. So to have a family member, I'm connecting it to the Everest situation, to have a family member having to do that. I don't know if any of you have experienced a loss where you had to take up and make those arrangements. It's not a good thing. So if there's someone else able to do it as a concierge service, you're not paying them. The family will have to take care of the expenses of purchasing the items, but they do the legwork for you, compare the prices, get the best thing for you. I would take that over any day, because I would not want to have to do that again. That was I couldn't mourn until she was in the grave because of that experience. So those are the things that alleviate, give you peace of mind and help you. And this is part of the process. We want to help people. Not only are you saving, but to make your life easier and to have a better experience when you're going through your grief. And so as I'm closing, I just want us to think about these things. So given your current financial situation, will you pass on debt or assets to your next generation? Just think about it, where you are now. Are you in a position to pass on debt, or are you in a position to pass on generational wealth, assets? The next question I want you to think about is, will your family be able to manage financially if you had an untimely passing, a loss of income, you're not there? How would they manage? Are you the sole source of income for your family? We need to think about these things, because when we're talking about savings and investment and life insurance, these are the things that helps us prepare for those situations. We don't want to wait until something happens and then we're scrambling, trying to figure out how we're going to pay for things. And then you're going on social media, asking people for money to bury our dead. That is not the will of God for us. And the other question I have is, emergency situation. Would you be able to handle a loss of a job? Many people went through COVID and lost their job, and it destroyed their families. They were not able to survive losing an income or two incomes. And a lot of people fell into depression, suicide, all kind of things. Believers or not believers, both. People were struggling and still continue to struggle. Mental health is on a rise right now. So I just want, my last question I'm asking, I just want you to think about it as I'm closing, is, are you willing to take action today to secure your financial future? Think about it, talk to your family, and make some decisions. If you're on track right now and you have a lot of these things in place, glory be to God. If you are not, you need to start thinking about it and preparing. Life is a gift. It's a gift that God has given us, and it's not a guarantee. So live it well, plan, and write down your goals and prepare for your future, for yourself, for your children, your grandchildren, your generations to come. So if you need any more information, you want to contact me on more of a one-on-one to talk about your individual issues or how you want to sort out something, these are my contacts. I'm on IG, Diana.Kinsuji Financial. You can email me. My phone number is there. You can text me, reach out to me. I recommend you text me first, because I'm not really big on picking up calls, but that is what you can do to reach out. But if you don't reach out to me and you have someone out there that is a financial professional and that can guide you, do that. We need the knowledge. We need the guidance. At the end of the day, we're here to build the kingdom of God. We're here to build our families. So anywhere you can get that resource to improve your finances, do it. God bless you, and thank you for having me. God bless you.